Well, happy Thursday evening, folks. Welcome to the program. Well, this isn't the program yet. It's the pre-show. So we're working our way up to the program. How you doing? Okay, I'll be back, says Uncle Dave. So just as I came on. So it is now 9 o'clock. And at 9:04 and 25 seconds, we go live on the radio station. So right now, this is just the pre-show. Warm yourself up, warm me up, get us rolling for the show, which launches on the radio station at 4 minutes and 25 seconds past the top of the hour. So if you're seeing this, it's live, it's a show. I could hop, skip, and I could dance and do things, but we'll just kind of wait it out for the beginning of the program, which is what we do every day. Hope everybody's doing okay. I saw Uncle Dave over there in the chat room. He took off, but he's coming back. He said, I'll be back, he says. And there's Matt Finn, Master Finn. Good to see you. And as people start to hop into the chat room during this informal pre-show, I'm thinking about this topic too that we've been on for a couple of days, and I'm going to wrap it up tonight. And I think, why do we want to know this stuff? Is it because we believe it? Because we hope it's true? We hope it's not true? There's that dark corner in the back of our minds that is a little terrified of it. So we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. Hey, Michelle Canham Free. Good to see you. And Chad Sanders and Roger Rabbit. Good to see you. You're back in from joining in from a remote location tonight, says he. We got about 2 minutes before we go live. Well, we're kind of live now, but not live on the radio station. So we're working our way up to it. 2 minutes. And maybe if we're lucky, we'll see a rainy sighting tonight. She was in here the other night, and I missed her. She popped in and said hello. Her signal is really strange. They're up in Soldotna, Alaska, up on the river, doing salmon fishing. So they're there for another week. I think it's another week. I think they're back on the 18th. Yeah, which is, what's today, the 11th? So that's 7 days from now. That's another week. So, welcome back, Dave Potter. Uncle Dave. Hey, Steve Clark. Good to see you, brother. 3:18 after the top of the hour. Got about a minute left, and we go live on the radio station. I'm tired tonight. I'm drawn out tonight. I don't want to do a show tonight. But I'll do one anyway. We'll see what we get out of it. See what I get out of it. We'll see how much I ramble tonight. So, ramble and meander and take the tributaries less taken. How's that feel when your host says, I don't really want to be here tonight? It's not you guys. It's not you. It's me. So, all of you, we're going to go dark for a few seconds, and then we'll come on live. Same routine every night, but stick around after the show for the Captain's Cabin. Stand by.
Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with two T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
You know, one of these days I'll change that ad. I love that ad. It's got my little girl in it. That's Rowan, by the way. I think she was 3 or maybe 4 when we cut that ad. And so that had to be, so she's 10 now. So that's 7 or 8 years, 6 or 7 years ago, that ad was cut. And I love it, though. I love her little voice. And Rainey's voice sounds good, too. So one of these days I'll have to cut it and update it with more, they're not grown up yet, but 10-year-old voices. So, or get the little girl in there, too, Ellery, who didn't exist at the time that radio ad was cut. So, or she was a baby, something like that. So, welcome to the program, folks. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here in the Odyssey radio station. I almost said network again. And you do things so many times, so many ways, it's creased in my brain. So it's Odyssey Radio, ODYSY radio.com. Go on over, see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. You can also watch the simulcast of this show in video in 4 different places. 3 of them on Facebook, 1 of them over here on my YouTube page. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. Or you can go over to my Facebook page. It's mr.mr.scotty.roberts. And you can go over to the Intrepid Radio page, as well as the Odyssey Radio page. And pretty soon you'll be able to look at it over on the official website. If you haven't seen it yet, it's not much yet. It's simple. It's straightforward. But go over to intrepidradio.com. And pretty soon we'll have a live stream up there. We do have links for the live stream, but we'll have them right there. So you go right there. And if all goes well, we'll put up a nice chat room over there as well, just for the fun of it. So that's intrepidradio.com. And if you come over to the YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't joined, join. And happy to have you. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. Welcome to me, who in the pre-show said, I don't really want to do radio tonight. You ever have those days? You have those days you go to your job. You might love your job and you go, I don't want to be here today. Or, whatever it might be. The things that you do on a regular basis. And it's not you. It's all me. It's not you. Tonight, I'm just a little more tired tonight. feel dragged out. And but this too shall pass. And all I'd do if I wasn't doing this, I'd go crawl in the bed and watch TV. Well, what good is that? So I just cleaned the kitchen, which was a monumental task. Trust me, Rainey and Flynn left here on the Tuesday of last week. So what is that? How many days ago is that? And of course, I got knocked with the COVID by Wednesday, and I was out and just down and out for a few days and wasn't doing much. And I'm trying to get these two little girls motivated, the 10-year-old and the 7-year-old. Hey, guys, do the dishes up. Or at the very least, do your own dishes, which is something we say every day. This is going to sound like an It's Sunday program, but how many of you have kids and you tell them the same things over and 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 over again, and they go, "What? You want me to do what?" Like it's a big surprise. Yeah. If we don't want the dishes to stack up, everybody wash your own dish when you're done. Unless we're having a big family meal, which we don't do as much of as we used to. Everybody's kind of grab your plate and go to your own corner and do your thing. But when we all eat together, then we all do it together. But the cleanup together. But if you're going to eat, go ahead and feel absolutely free to rinse your plate or wash it. You could even wash it. And you know what? If you even wanted to bypass putting it in the dry rack, go ahead and towel it down. So, not that we don't have a dishwasher, but you don't dishwash, 1 dish, 2 dish, 3 dishes. So, anyway, I finally broke down after this morning. There was much weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth as I was about to pass judgment on my children for not doing the things I'd asked them to be doing. And I've taken them out to eat a couple of times in the last couple of days. Of course, I mentioned McDonald's. Did I mention that? I've mentioned before, a while back when I took everybody to McDonald's, I thought, whoa, that's getting expensive. I remember going to McDonald's was a special treat every now and then when I was a kid. And when I was a teenager and a college kid, you practically lived off of that crap. And what did it cost? I don't know. You get a Big Mac and fries and a shake, set you back $2-3. Gone are those days, gone, I tell you. So when we were out on the road the other day, we stopped at McDonald's. And if I told you this story, if you've heard this already, just bear with me, indulge me. And we went out to McDonald's on the way, not because I eat at McDonald's. I don't like McDonald's anymore. I always feel gross. But the kids were, get us a Big Mac. We want a Big Mac. Okay, I'll get you a Big Mac. So we went into McDonald's and I ordered 3 Big Mac meals. That's Big Macs with French fries and a drink. And everybody wanted a malt, or a shake. So, and instead of drinks, make that 3 shakes. So we had 3 Big Macs. Big Macs. We're talking McDonald's. We're not talking Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for burgers. We're talking McDonald's. So we had 3 Big Macs with fries and shakes. The total bill, $40. Well, hi, who are you? What are you doing here?
I came to get your phone.
Okay, you can have my phone. Plug it in, though, when you're working on it. Bye. Familial interlude number 1. And so we...
I'm a teenager now. I'm on TikTok.
Oh, okay. All right. So guess what that cost? $40.27 for 3 Big Mac meals. That's Big Mac with fries and a drink. Big Mac, fries, and a drink. 3 of those. Upgraded to malts, which can't be that much more money. $40.27. Great Caesar's ghost, I said. I said to the person ringing it up, I said, is that is that right? Is that correct? $40? And remember, I do remember the ad campaign. I've mentioned this before. McDonald's was the place where you could go and you could get a cheeseburger, fries, and a drink and still get change back from your dollar. It would cost 95 cents. You'd get a nickel back from your dollar. Oh, how times have changed. I wanted to put a little sticker on the McDonald's drive-up window. Joe Biden. I did that. Oh, that was so political of me. Don't turn me off. Just roll with it if you don't like what I said. So, that's what we did. So, just with my kids this week. Took them out there. We went out to Chinese buffet, Uncle Dave. Yesterday, we went out to Chinese buffet for lunch. And I said, come on, guys, let's get out of here. This place is a wreck. It needs to be picked up. Let's do the dishes when we get back. And so I took them out for Chinese buffet. And we got into, so do you think the dishes got done today happily? Father, thank you so much, ever so much, for taking us to McDonald's and spending nearly $100 for our McDonald's lunches. And thank you for the Chinese buffet. Thank you oh so much, our dear Father. Thank you for taking us to the store with you and letting us choose some of the grocery items we like to eat. Thank you. Oh, thank you. We sing your praises. Daddy's great. Takes us to the Chinese buffet. It rhymed in there somewhere. Do you think that was their attitude this morning when I said, hey, I need you guys to do these dishes now? I'm sorry. If you think 7 and 10-year-old is too young to do dishes, you grew up in the wrong part of the world. I was doing dishes when I was 7. I was doing dishes all through my childhood. Matter of fact, my first paying job was a dishwasher. So I've been washing dishes my whole life. So I said to these kids, I said, look at this sink full of dishes. I said, you guys, I need you to finish these dishes, which have been started 3 times in the last 2 days by them. And I said, let's get them done. There shouldn't even be any dishes here because you wash your dishes when you're done with them, right? So that was sarcasm, by the way. What do you think was the response to by my kids? Daddy's great. Takes us to Chinese buffet. No, it wasn't that. That's the ancient past. We don't want to wash dishes. And the attitude was so thick, you could have walked on it in your bare feet and not been burned. It was unbelievable. And the attitude. I'm like, hey, Ellie, why don't you run downstairs into the clean clothes basket and grab all the white hand towels, which is what we use from the kitchen, the white hand towels. I don't want to do that. And so she brought them up. And eventually, reluctantly, attitude. So, anyway, all that to say, that's what it's like around here. Want to get anything done, you got to do it yourself. So I finished off the dishes. Not because I wasn't trying to teach my kids to do them and do them right and on time. It's that I'm tired of the belly aching, so I just did it myself. And I said, now it's all clean. Now let's start all over again. Clean slate. Everybody cleans their own dish. Shackles and leg irons. Oh, I miss the days when we could hang them by their thumbs. Yes, Rudy, I am very mean. I am so mean. I'm a mean man. Let's see. What did Steve Clark say? Dang, at Smitty's Carryout in Kingman, you can get 2 single cheeseburgers, 1 double cheeseburger, okra. You get okra with your cheeseburgers? What's that, a Kansas thing? And large drink for $25. They have hand-cut fries, onion rings, burger patties. Yeah, I would love to have a place here that's a local type of place. And I think there is one down here, downtown Somerset. Order it ahead of time. You get good burgers here. So, Rowan, I think that is, why is his name slipping my mind? The little cafe by the place that has all the outdoor stuff and what? Kennedy's. Little greasy spoon in town. Not really a greasy spoon, just looks like it. A little town cafe. I'll bet you we order our burgers and fries there and malts and bring them home. Pay less money and they're going to be genuine. The real article. So okra is a vegetable. I know that much, Matthew Sainsbury, too. Okra soup you can make. There's okra soup, okra souffle, okra pie, okra bread, souffle of okra, okra and cheese, baked okra, broiled okra, and on it goes. And that's about it. So, yeah, a lot of stuff with okra, I guess, if you eat that. I don't eat that. That must be a regional thing because I don't go anywhere up here in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area where you can get okra with your burgers. Is that a topping? You put it on as a topping, or is it like a side? I got fried okra and I dip it in okra sauce and eat it. I don't know what you do with okra. So somebody tell me, what do you do with okra? So the small diners are the best. Yes, they are, Rudy Kessler. I agree with you. This your mumbling time. Shut up, Chad Sanders. So, yeah, this is my mumbling time. I said I don't feel like doing radio tonight. I'm not talking very well. I'm not thinking very well. My brain's not working well. That doesn't mean I don't have things to talk about. And continue on and try to wrap up what we were talking about last night. But you know what I ran across, by the way, in all of this cool stuff that we're talking about, the 4 demons or angels that are beneath the Euphrates. So Revelation 9 tells us either in the Euphrates or at the Euphrates or in the region of the Euphrates or something. It all depends on how you transliterate or translate that passage. And so I ran across this thing about the Euphrates Tunnel. Have any of you ever heard of the Euphrates Tunnel? I think it's pretty fascinating. One of those archaeological mysteries, like the labyrinth in Egypt. They say, oh, that was because who wrote about that? Plato wrote about that. I think it was Plato or Euripides or no, one of the other historians. Oh, I was just talking about. I got his book right over here. It's right there, the orange one. I can't see his name from here, but it's slipping out of my brain because my brain is a sieve tonight. But the Euphrates Tunnel was this legendary tunnel that purportedly was built between 2180 and 2160 BCE. So we're talking 2100 years before the time of Christ. And it was built under the river Euphrates to connect the two halves of the city of Babylon in Mesopotamia. And the existence of the Euphrates Tunnel hasn't been ever confirmed archaeologically. The next underwater tunnel known to have been built was the Thames Tunnel. It was built in 1841 underneath the River Thames in London. Now, here's a description of the tunnel as being built and used by Queen Semiramis. And it's given by Diodorus. And about 50 BCE, he wrote this in the Bibliotheca Historica. And he says this: after all these, in a low ground in Babylon, she sunk a place for a pond, 4 square, Arari square, being 300 furlongs in length, lined with brick and cemented with brimstone, and the whole 35 feet in depth. Into this having first turned the river, she then made a passage in form of a vault from one palace to another, whose arches were built of firm and strong brick and plastered all over on both sides with bitumen, 4 cubits thick. Cubit, remember, is about elbow to fingertip. So 4 of those. It's be about 8 feet. They're about 7 to 8 feet. The walls of this vault were 20 bricks in thickness and 12 feet high, beside and above the arches, and the breadth was 15 feet. This piece of work being finished in 260 days, the river was turned into its antient channel again, so that the river flowing over the whole work, Semiramis, could go from one palace to the other without passing over the water. She made likewise 2 brazen gates at either end of the vault, which continued to the time of the Persian Empire. That was written by Diodorus in the Bibliotheca Historica, book 11:1. Now, Philostratus in 250 of the Common Era, AD, also described the tunnel's destruction in the life of Apollonius of Tyana. And Babylon, it is cut asunder by the river Euphrates into halves of similar shape, and there passes underneath the river an extraordinary bridge, which joins together by an unseen passage the palaces on either bank. For it is said that a woman, Medea, was formerly queen of those parts, who spanned the river underneath in a manner in which no river has ever been bridged before, for she got stones, it is said, and copper and pitch, and all that men have discovered for use in masonry underwater, and she piled these up along the banks of the river. Then she diverted the stream into lakes, and as soon as the river was dry, she dug down 2 fathoms, made a hollow tunnel, which she caused to debauch into the palaces on either bank. I've never heard debauch used that way before. Into the palaces on either bank, like a subterranean grotto, and she rooted it in a level with the bed of the stream. The foundations were thus made stable, and also the walls of the tunnel, but as the pitch required water in order to set as hard as stone, the Euphrates was let in again on the roof, while still soft, and so the junction stood solid. Isn't that kind of cool? You think about it? So that was the Euphrates tunnel underneath the Euphrates River. Now, could they possibly be talking about the angels or the demons being closed up in there? I don't think so. It would be too convenient. The lengths people will go for waterfront property, ain't that the truth, Sarah? So that to me is really interesting stuff. Now, let's look at this a little deeper, though. These guys, these angels, who were they? Who were they really? We go this deep into trying to find out who these 4 angels were, and I see all kinds of things when I start researching out the details of this thing. And I keep typing in a search criteria looking for who these guys might be and what they're all about and why they're here and so on and so on and so on. And I keep finding all these answers that are really strange answers, some of them. And you've got to ask yourself, is this what really is? Is John, who wrote the book of Revelation at the end of his life in his 90s, well, how old would he have been? He was in his 90s, so it was probably, yeah, that's about right, about 90 years after the time of Christ, about 60 years after his death, burial, and resurrection, the founding of Christianity. And here's John. He's in exile by the Roman Empire over on the Isle of Patmos, and he has these visions, and he writes them down. Now, do we look at this as if, as I put for the title for tonight's show, Nostradamus? Is this the same kind of thing we saw in the quatrains of Nostradamus? I almost said Nostradamus. Nostradamus is a good friend of mine. He's somebody from the old festival days, and he did a magician's act and called himself Nostradamus. A very good act. So, but Nostradamus, is it this kind of thing we're looking at with the revelations or the prophecies of John? Michael and Gabriel told me they were wussies. So says David Potter. Thank you, Uncle Dave. That's classic. And so you've got John out there writing this stuff down. Now, what is it he's writing down? Is what he's writing down literal? Is this literally what's going to happen, the way you see it written? Is it in obvious prophetic language that you're seeing here, where he talks about how he described the scorpions that would attack people for 5 months, where he talks about the armies and so on and so on and so on? Or was it meant to be more prophetic language that was more metaphoric? These are the things that's going to happen, but it stands for something else. Are they to be taken literally at all? Are they to be taken as an old man's ramblings? What made them scripture? What made them the word of God, very God? Who determined that out of all the books written that they could have brought into the canon of scripture and out? How did they determine that these were the actual words of the actual disciple John, who became the Apostle John? How do they know that this stuff is true? Now, remember also in the book of Revelation, it gives a warning at the end of the book. And it says, and I've heard this verse used to apply to the whole Bible. It doesn't. It applies only to the book of Revelation. John says, whoever will add to the words of this book, meaning adding their own stuff to it, he says, all the plagues written in this book will be added to him. And if anyone shall take away from the words of this book, so shall he be taken away out of the Lamb's book of life. Now, I want to look that up. I want to quote that exactly. The warning in Revelation. Let's call it that and see if it comes up right. Okay, here it is. Does the warning in the Revelation 22, 18 through 19 apply to the entire Bible or just to the book of Revelation? The question I just asked you. And it says this. Let's find this. I'm going to read this. It's 22, 18 through 19. Revelation 22, 18 through 19. And let's find it in Bible Gateway is probably a good site to go to because you can look at all these different versions of the Bible. First thing I'll do, I'll put it up in the King James, or I'll read it to you in the King James. This is how I learned it initially. The King James Version says this: For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of this book, of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. Now, let me ask you, does that sound like a crazy, scary warning to tell you, don't add to, don't detract from this? Who's saying that, God or John? And that's what we have to decipher. That's what you have to believe by faith. So it goes on here. I'm going to read it to you in a different version, more updated version. The Message is one that I like to use. I like to use this when I preached and when I taught. It says it this way: I give fair warning to all who hear the words of the prophecy of this book. If you add to the words of this prophecy, God will add to your life the disasters written in this book. If you subtract from the words of this book of prophecy, God will subtract your part from the tree of life and the holy city that are written in this book. Wow. You think about that. That's a pretty stern warning and a pretty harsh judgment to not alter anything that's written in the book of Revelation. Now, does that mean you don't accidentally misquote it? Or does that mean you intentionally go out to change it? So the big question that I asked, it contains a warning to anyone who tampers with the biblical text. For I testify together to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to these things, God will add on him the plagues that have been written in this book. And if anyone takes away from the words of this book of prophecy, God will take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which have been written in this book. And the question is whether these verses refer to the whole Bible or just to the book of Revelation. I think the context is obvious. It's what John is writing about. But this warning is given specifically to those who distort the message of the book of Revelation. Jesus himself is the author of Revelation, John makes clear in his writing. He inspired. He's the author. He's the giver of the vision to the Apostle John. You find that in Revelation 1, verse 1. What's it say there? The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show to his servants the things that must soon take place. He made it known by sending his angel to his servant John. So it's the angel of the Lord coming to John. And as such, he concludes the book with a confirmation of all his testimony of the finality of the prophecies that are contained in the book of Revelation. And these are his words, and he warns against distorting them in any way, whether through additions, subtractions, falsifications, alterations, or intentional misinterpretations. So the warning is explicit and dire. The plagues of the revelation will be visited upon anyone guilty of tampering in any way with the revelations in the book. And those who dare to do so will have no part in the eternal life in heaven. That's how dire the circumstances were surrounding this prophecy that John wrote about. John, the friend of Jesus, the man whom Jesus said to take care of my mother from the cross as he's dying. So although the warning in Revelation 22, 18 through 19 is specific to the book of Revelation, the principle, according to this guy, applies to anyone who seeks to intentionally distort God's word. Okay? So Moses gave us a warning in Deuteronomy 4, 1 through 2. And it said this, "And now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and the rules that I'm teaching you, and do them, that you may live, and go in and take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You shall not add to the word." He says, "You shall not add to the word that I command you, nor take from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God that I command you." This is what Moses said about, okay, this is important. This is really important this time.
Yeah.
Really, really important.
Yeah, someone could break in our car because you left the windows open.
I know. I've got the windows open for a purpose. I said I was going to do that after the radio show, but you weren't listening.
No.
So I've got that open because all those vegetables and fruits are out there, and I didn't want them to be closed up in the hot car. Okay, bye. Here you go, folks.
But you left them wide open.
Yes, I did.
Like, why?
Like wide open. I even left the hatchback open. Wide so people can come and steal all the vegetables out of our car. There you go. Uncle Dave says hello, Ellery. Scotty's hair, says Matthew Sainsbury. All right, so in looking at all this stuff, does Revelation apply specifically to the book of Revelation, the warning, or all of the Bible? Bible believers will tell you it's all of the Bible as a principle, rather than just applying to the book of Revelation, even though that's all John was talking about. You have to be careful to handle the Bible with care and reverence. That's the message to modern day evangelical Christianity. And the way that looks to me, from a certain point of view, is that's control, certainly. Religious control. Is it, does that make the words truer? What do you do with that warning? What do you feel about that warning? What do you think about that warning? What's your heart and your brain tell you about that warning? So, when I look at this and I look at some of the interpretations we come up with, like tonight, I'm looking at some of these things that talk about these 4 angels or demons actually being kings and not actual demons or angels. Is that changing the intent? Is that maligning the intent of the scripture that was written by John? So we have to look, who are the 4 angels in Revelation 9? Let's answer this question for ourselves. We may not come up with a final conclusion, but weigh that against whether or not you believe the warning is something that you need to heed to verbatim. We're not going to read through the account of the angels again and the 4 angels and so on. We know about that. It's not clear who these 4 angels are. It's not made clear in the text, but they seem to lead an army of 200 million horsemen and had been instructed to kill a third of mankind. And so who do these guys refer to? I've got some answers for you here, and there's different points of view. There's several places where 4 angels and winds or spirits are described in the Bible. Ezekiel 10, there's 4 angels at the 4 wheels of God's throne. And Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the air. You know, the old thing about the wheel within a wheel within a wheel. So there were 4 angels at the 4 wheels of God's throne. God's throne has wheels. It's interesting. Matthew 24:31 and Mark 13:27 in the New Testament, the Gospels. The angels are dispatched with a great trumpet blast to gather the elect from the 4 winds of the earth. It doesn't actually state there's 4 angels there, just gathered from the 4 winds. Revelation 7, 1 through 3. 4 angels are told to hold back the 4 winds of the earth until the servants of God are sealed with a mark on the forehead. An allusion to Ezekiel 9. God seals his own with a mark. In Revelation 9, 14 and 15, the 4 angels released to kill 1/3 of mankind. So the fact that in Revelation 7, the 4 angels were bound until the sealing is complete, and that in Revelation 9, under the 6th trumpet, the 4 angels are released, suggests that the sealing is complete. Sealing, S-E-A-L-I-N-G. The sealing up is complete. So note the declaration under the final 7th trumpet in Revelation 11:15. Now Messiah has taken up his kingdom and begun to reign. So there's various Bible commentaries that suggest that these 4 destructive angels, the ones that are kept beneath or in or by the Euphrates, who've been bound at the great river Euphrates, are set free at God's appointed time to unleash destruction on humanity. And the river Euphrates represents that which keeps civil chaos and wanton violence at bay. It's like the drying of its waters. The angels are released to cause unprecedented bloodshed and suffering. Because God is sovereign and in control of events, the angels are restrained till the appointed hour, day, month, and year. And God permits them to go forth to slaughter 1/3 of the earth's inhabitants, but no more, no less. 1/3. And this is the last limited judgment and warning blast in the book of Revelation. So the following verses show how Satan and his angels wage war against those who follow him, deluding the enemies of God into war. Revelations 21 through 3 describes the final outcome when Satan is bound and cast into the bottomless pit. and there to remain for 1,000-year duration of the millennial reign of Christ. Then he's set free for a time. Now, what did you need to tell me? During a live radio show, during us talking about the judgment being passed on humanity by the 4 demons. What?
I made a puppy pound.
Okay, that's fantastic. Bye. I got to let you go. See ya. All right. Throw her to the floor, Centurion. Throw her to the floor. So this is all crazy stuff when you think about it. The trumpets started, an angel was at the altar of incense in the heavenly sanctuary. In verses 3 through 5, Revelation 8, that angel is the personage of Christ and his mediator role. And the prayers of the saints are received at the altar of incense, and trumpets are blown as judgments are sent to those persecuting the church. And in trumpet number 6, the horns of the altar are speaking. What was applied on the horns of the altar? Blood. That's if you remember the altar in Jerusalem, if you know anything about this at all. That's where they sprinkled the blood of the Lamb once a year for the atonement of the sins of the people. And when blood was applied on the horns of the altar of incense, it was the Day of Atonement, not on Passover, not on the Feast of Unleavened Bread, not at Pentecost, not at the Feast of Trumpets, not at Tabernacles. When did Jesus start to fulfill the Day of Atonement? Function of cleansing the sanctuary? It was stated in Daniel 8:14. And note that Daniel predicts in Daniel chapter 9, the Passover when Christ was to be crucified. And in Daniel 8:14, Daniel states the very date when Christ was to start the cleansing of the sanctuary service, which is equivalent to the process of judgment. And this can go on and on and on and on. There's so much that you have to read. You know, the book of Revelation, if you're not to add to it, not to subtract to it, not to change its meaning in any way, you obviously have to study it and study a hell of a lot of other things in history, in biblical history, in eschatological history, in prophetical history to understand its meaning, because its meaning is not clear on the surface, is it? And there's all this stuff we could go through. Here, I'll just give you a little taste of this. This is from commentary. In trumpet 6, the voice that announces the release of the 4 angels is Christ himself. While in service in Day of Atonement time period, which began when the 2300 years period reached its fulfillment in 1844 from BC 457. The day, the hour, the month, the year is a specific date. So the 4 angels to be released are evil angels. Why? They are described as bound. See Jude, verse 6. It's so small it doesn't even have chapters, just verses. See 2 Peter 2:4. They are released and they start to have their influence on Euphrates. The Euphrates are the waters on which the apostate woman, the apostate church system, Babylon, the great city, the whore riding on the pig of Revelation 17 sits upon. Those waters are being people, multitudes and languages. See Revelation 17:15 for that. This is all symbolic language, folks, and not literal Euphrates. So the 4 bound evil angels represent the initial restriction of global influence of the evil angels. Their release means God allows them to cause havoc on those who've rejected the truth of God, rejected the word of God. The literal waters of Euphrates gave power and support to literal Babylon. In Revelation, these are now symbols, and so we see that the Euphrates stands for masses of people who support spiritual Babylon and are opposed to God. The 6th trumpet, God removes the restrictions on these evil angels and allows them to torment the rejectors of mercy. As we near the end, Satan is marshaling his troops, which number as twice 10,000 times 10,000, meaning this is a large number, again, a symbolic value of enemies. And this number isn't intended to be viewed as a literal number. Oh, no, no. So in short, these 4 bound angels represent the global effect of the fallen angels, who are the unleashed and released. In the 6th chapter, as people chose darkness, God will allow them their choices and allow these angels on the rejectors of mercy as we near the end of the 4 angels in Revelation, chapter 7. And these are the good angels. The ones in Revelation 9 are the bad guys. And so this goes on and on and on. You see what this stuff is made of. And so you have to start asking yourself, what is the interpretation of this? How do I understand what these things are? When we can see even this commentary itself differs from many of the commentaries that I was taught with when I was in seminary and Bible college. I'm going to have you get down because you're distracting. Bye. Okay. So there, we will talk about it when I'm done. Feed me. Yes, please. I already cooked dinner, folks. So the word for angels here is angelos in the Greek. It's written in the Greek. John wrote in the Koine Greek. And it means agents or messengers. And it could refer to, hey, guys, I need you to stop because I am doing live radio. If you don't know what that means yet. Christ. All right. So it could refer to spirit agents, but there's nothing inherent in this passage that says it has to. It could also refer to human agents. There's all different kinds of translations of these texts. Young's literal translation says, saying to the 6th messenger who had the trumpet, loose the 4 messengers who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So the tense of the Greek word translated bound is, and I talked about this just a little bit, we started to hit on this, the perfect passive accusative plural, or ones having been bound is what it means. In the Greek, there was this logical structure to the Greek language, the Koine Greek. We had aorist tense, the perfect future aorist tense, and things like that for the way things were written. So this verse only says that these agents were released from their bond at the river Euphrates, and this verse says nothing about where they were bound. So it's where they were released. And very likely, this passage is referring to kings, not angels, not demons. And there's all kinds of ancient texts which can back this up by word picture. So here's what I think, and we're going to leave it at this for this series, is that you're looking at a prophecy of John about an event that's supposed to be a future event that you're not supposed to change or change its meaning, but its interpretation is held in question because we don't know what it's referring to, who it's referring to, and can it be interpreted as the kings of the earth, the 4 kings in that region? And why is there an obsession nowadays on this having to do with the current state of affairs in the world? There's the big questions you have to wrangle with. And remember, don't add or detract anything unless you get the plagues added to you or your life, your soul taken from the Lamb's book of life. Now we got to say goodnight to our radio audience, but stick right here for the captain's cabin. Hey, everybody, live long and prosper.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad so he can take me to Disneyland.
Hey, yeah, Scotty Roberts, you can hear me? I can't hear you. You're having an audio problem. Hey, Scotty Roberts, you can hear me? I can't hear you though. I don't know if it's your site, I don't know. Can't hear you.
Sound. Oh, that's it. I didn't port up my sound. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to be done for tonight. As I turned that down to go out of the show tonight, I said, don't forget to turn that back up. What do I do when it all comes on? Forget to port the sound back up. What is the mental block with that button? That's why Matthew couldn't hear me. So my apologies, folks. I think on that cue, that's just a cue for me to call it a night tonight. I'm already out of it. And so whatever the indicator is that every time I turn that mute button off, I forget to turn it back up. I don't know what that indicator is. Is it something psychological? Is it something spiritual? Is it something stupid? So there you go. Well, so I'm not going to bring Matthew in. Matthew, I'm not going to bring you in. I'm just going to call it for tonight because you know why? I'm just I was done before I started tonight, And that little snafu, once again, has just done me in for tonight. So how's that for being real and transparent, letting you see the real me? So there it is. My audience shouldn't have to tell me I'm muted. And I don't know what the mental block is with that. So I'm just going to go to bed and figure it out later. Folks, I appreciate your being here. I appreciate you giving me your time. Means a lot to me. And other than that, I got nothing else. So I got to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here because I need to get out of here tonight. So all of you, live long and prosper.